If I'm going to die tomorrow, I die tomorrow. If I get to see the sunrise every single morning, I am blessed.
I'm going straight to the top. Just put the sec on the clock. I am reality shot. I'm going straight to the top.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Mike here, Sports and the Real Podcast coming at you once again. As always, I appreciate everybody for listening and watching YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're watching and listening. I appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share if you haven't done so. Tell a friend and they tell a friend and tell a family member. Help me grow this thing. But I appreciate you guys spending a few minutes with me today. Don't forget to check out the website, sportsandthereal.tv. Adding more stuff to there, more content by the week. So sportsandthereal.tv, check it out there. Special guest today. So I told y'all from the very beginning I wanted to make this podcast more impactful than just a regular sports podcast. I want to have conversations that you probably don't have on a regular sports podcast. So today's guest is Alex Romero. He is the co-host of a podcast for underappreciated wrestling fans. He's battled and continues to battle and overcome PTSD. Has a crazy, interesting story that captivated me, and I'm pretty sure it'll captivate you as well. And the reason I wanted to have this conversation as I continue to, go more deeper in trying to improve my mental health and taking my mental health more seriously. I want my audience, you guys, to take your mental health more seriously as well. Understanding that many folks out there are battling PTSD and having mental health challenges, and many are unafraid to speak up about it. So this episode is one I believe will help some of you guys who may be battling with PTSD and other mental health issues to be able to seek help and speak out about it, understanding that you're not alone in this journey. So Alex, appreciate you for coming on, man.
Good evening, good morning, and thank you for having me on this journey that we'll talk about together. My name is Alex Romero, aka Alex Coquito, aka Rican Reactions, aka the Lost One. But I'm very honored and privileged to be here today.
The Lost One. Cool. So let's jump right into it, man. So what drew me to your story when you reached out was your experience. You talked about the fact that you were a Navy vet. Yeah. And I have some stats here about, military folks and PTSD, but I think your story goes much deeper than that, just being in the military. First of all, PTSD I think it's underreported, right? Mental health issues is underreported. According to Google, Google says that 70% of adults experience at least one traumatic event in their life. 20% of the people who experience an event will develop PTSD. 13 million people have PTSD in a given year. I feel like that's underreported, like I said. I looked up stats around military service and PTSD, and it says 15 out of 100 people in the last year who served in Iraq, Operations Iraqi Freedom, 15% in the past year reported PTSD. 29% reported PTSD once in their lifetime. I feel like those numbers are low. And it goes on to talk about Vietnam War, only 5 in 100 people, so 5% of the people reported PTSD in the past year. Only 10% in their life report, some point in their life report having PTSD. I don't believe any of that. Like I said, I believe people don't talk about it as much. It doesn't get recorded. In my experiences, whether it's through the movies or, talking to people, who have gone, who have served and actually gone to war, it's a severe thing and it leaves an impact on you. So I don't believe those numbers, but I want to talk with Alex, Navy vet. But I think your PTSD starts from before that. So if you could just walk us through, man, your experience and your journey and how it all started for you and what you believe to be like jump started your bout, with traumatic events that has led to where you are now.
Okay. Viewer discretion is advised. Well, in my life, I grew up around Southside Bronx in the early 80s, 82 to 87 to be exact, around Sugar Hill, just if anyone needs a reference. First time I saw a dead body was around 3 years old when my mom had no choice but to go up 5 flights of stairs to go home, and the elevator was broken, and there was a newly fresh dead body right there. And she was carrying me. She was carrying my sister who was 1 years old, like a baby, and I was three to four. I have an eidetic and photographic memory. It comes and goes over life. Um, that was the first time that I realized what I didn't really understand what death was. I was around death. My dad died around 5. I didn't understand why, but to this day, I just say my dad died because of the 80s. Because if you grew up in the 80s in New York and you survived, you're a soldier.
Wow. Wow, like that.
Now, cut to around 8 years old, I go to Puerto Rico, and I lived in Puerto Rico the majority of my life, about 85% of my life. Before that, my mom remarried to a guy that cheated on her, and after she got married in 6 months, and like psychosis and the sense of repetition can be masked by this, because I didn't say this last time. My second father, or my second father that my mom married, used to work in Disney, right? So every weekend he would take my sister and me to Disney. My sister was around 3 years old at the time. I was around
So you guys were in Florida by now.
Yeah, by that. My dad died around 5. She was single for about 2, 3 years, remarried in Florida. Like left New York, went to Florida. And then they lived in Miami, like really close, like really not really close to like Disney World, but obviously just the way it was. I hated it because I didn't have a growth spurt honestly until I was like 13. So I was a really short height. I was literally an inch of every other place that you need a height requirement back in the 90s. Now you don't do that anymore. But yeah, it sucks. So I would always go to the teacups and throw up. At the end of the night, I liked hot chocolate, but Disney hot chocolate is just scalding. I would burn my tongue every single time. I went to Magic Mountain. I got freaked out over the colors. That's what I remember.
That's traumatic.
Yeah, and that was every weekend. We never went to the movies. We never went to the park. We never went to the beach. It was his way of like not wasting money since he worked there. It was free. Just did it for free. So I was like, you know what? I respect Disneyland. I'll never go back to the day of my life because F Disneyland. Came over here to 8. After that, came over here around 8 or 9. Didn't know a lick of Spanish. Got bullied and ridiculed up until around 15 years old. Right? 15 years old, hanged out around a gang, saw murder, saw an old man's. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, at this point in my life, I kind of blanked out what happened in my early years in my childhood. Reset. I was happy. 16 years old, I saw an old homeless man's brain get shot out in front of my house at 2:20. Was it 2:25? 2:25 a.m. in the morning. I remember these days because it was exactly on my on the number on top of the stove in my mom's house. And the guy who did it just like, say hi to your mom for me, because my mom was super cool with everybody. He died after like a few years later, got murdered. Cut to 18. I smoked a doobie, got caught. Well, let me say that realistically. I got caught smoking a doobie at my mom's house at 18. Let's say it like that. By the time I was 18, I was a Prozac experiment. When Prozac was coming out, they were giving it out to everybody. And if you look it up and Google it, Prozac got banned like 2 years after, about a year, 2 years after it got made, because of the serious side effects, suicide mentality, depression, and everything else. And they gave that to me when I said I was, waking up in the middle of the night with a knife in my hand, not knowing why I have a knife in my hand.
What the
These are
hell
real
is
things, medical
going
records,
on, bro?
documents. I have no shame in saying it because these were things that my mom herself said, something's wrong with you. We got to check that out. There's a thing called Prozac. Let's test this shit out. It made it worse.
So you were doing these things probably because of your experience as a youngster,
Yeah.
and then you're like, let's get this guy on some drugs that makes it worse. It's not funny, man, but
No,
goodness.
no. Plus, I was an alkie. I was a straight up alkie before I even turned 18. Because here in Puerto Rico, there is no like. There's okay. Let me be fair. There is a age limit here. Obviously, at 18, when you're 18, you get to drink.
Yeah.
A real Puerto Rican drinks like around their 12, not like around 12 or 13. You figure out something. Um,
Is it the Bacardi like
no,
factory
see
there?
that's a myth that no. Like here's the weird thing about life.
Y'all don't drink Bacardi. I know when I was in Puerto Rico, I went to the. It was pretty good.
Yeah, of course. By the way, here in Puerto Rico, we as Puerto Ricans never really drink the stuff that you make. We have Don Q, we have Bacardi, and we have Palo Viejo. The three alcohols of rum, right?
Mm-hmm.
And almost nobody drinks Don Q to the point. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to, this is a free plug. Go to my channel, Rican Reactions. Go to Puerto Rican Expo number 3, sorry. And in that one, in Ponce, in the south of the island, that's where Don Q's made, right? You went to the Bacardi one in the north.
Yeah, I went
Don
to
Q
Bacardi.
was made in the south, right? So I went to there was a Don Q Ponce display, and people weren't even taking it when they were giving it away. They like here's some shots
Really?
of like Don Q rum if you want it, and everyone passed by like nope, 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 no thank you. I went there because I'm a gentleman. I'm like, here, I'll take some. And I had a shot, and I said, you know what? Now I know why nobody wants this. Thank you very much. And I walked away. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. I like whiskey. People like
Wow.
beer here. Again, Don't Go is just it's like if you what's your favorite drink, Mr. Philemon?
I don't really have a favorite drink. Like I don't drink enough to have a favorite drink, to be honest with you. I mean, I like so when I was in Puerto Rico, I went heavy on strawberry daiquiris.
Mm-hmm.
And that had the rum in it. So I mean, I don't really drink enough though to say, well, I do, whiskey.
And no one
or,
drinks
you
that
know,
over here, by the way. I've
huh?
never met anyone in my life ever have a strawberry daiquiri. Like, I want a strawberry daiquiri. It's either like I'll have a
Clearly,
Monday
then it's just a
margarita
tourist
fail.
thing. Like I was taking those down. I'm not gonna lie, and they were amazing.
Mm. For you have strawberry daiquiris. For here, we have something called gasolina, which is just a knockoff version of different flavored drinks that just get you drunk, 9-10%.
That sounds awful.
Oh,
If
well,
if it's a
it is.
translation of gasoline,
No, no, no.
it's.
It's just we'll talk about that later. Cut to
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
thank you. Cut to my mom kicking me out at 18. I went to Kissimmee, Florida with my aunt. I had to get a job at 18 years old. Well, obviously I knew how to work because I worked all my life from like 15. My dad, God rest his soul, he died a few years ago. But at an early age, this is my third dad. My third dad taught me at an early age how to build a house from scratch, from cement. He's like, look, you hate me or love me, but I'm gonna teach your ass how to build a house, how to measure it, how to do everything in case you get land for yourself, because that's the dream of every Puerto Rican, to get land for themselves and to make a house for themselves and to build something for themselves so their family members can move on and have that legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Same as that. Okay. My dad didn't make the house that we lived in, but he bought the house when it was made, like just made, and we've lived there ever since, obviously. Um, my aunt, who was very strict, told me you got to go to work. So I had to go walk every day at 2 in the morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is what made my mind messed up. I guess thinking about it now, this was the catharsis of my insanity. Every day at 2 in the morning, I had to walk 2 miles to a temporary work service where you had to work construction, just random shit. Every morning, 2 miles in Kissimmee, Florida. There's buses, obviously, but you're trying to save money for the buses, and the buses don't even fucking start till 4 in the morning.
Yeah, I'm like no buses running at 2 o'clock in the morning.
4 in the morning, 4 and 5, yes, but not in 2 in the morning. So you had to walk 2 miles in Kissimmee. The only good thing of it was like it was around 2000, the year 2000. There wasn't that much crime, so I never had it. I was never attacked. I never saw anything weird. I just like walked 2 miles to the workplace, and I had to stay there until 6 in the morning. And it was a first come first serve type of job. So if
Were
you
you
got there,
first in
like,
line?
yeah, 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 6 in the morning. Sometimes like I would get there and I would get there at 3 in the morning, and I would be number 8.
What is going on?
Mm.
Wow. That's some grimy stuff, man. I ain't gonna lie.
Do that,
Wow.
right? I do all that. I would get off work, 2 in the afternoon. I would make $35 to $38 every day. That's it. $35, $38. Minus and I had a really weird adult mag addiction back in my 20s. So minus the $6 for an adult mag, minus the $12, minus the $7 to $9 for a pack of Newports, minus the $2 for an old English. Gotta fucking get that fucking old English. And go home. So I come back home with the equivalent of
$10.
$12, maybe 12, 11 every day, right? And then I had to give all that money to my aunt for the light and water, right? Fast forward comes to a point, crazy shit happened at the house. I had an ultimatum thrown at me saying that either you live on the street and or you join the Navy because we think you're wasting your life. And it was a factor of I was drinking at 18, and over there in Kissimmee, I guess they didn't really understand that lifestyle in Puerto Rico, so they thought I was an alcoholic. And even to the point, my mom's like, "He's 18. He's been drinking since he was 16. Everybody here in Puerto Rico drinks under 18. What's the problem?
big deal?
You shouldn't be teaching that to your son." I'm like, "I'm not teaching that. That's what the Puerto Rican island is teaching. I'm not doing that."
That's the culture.
Yes.
Getting drunk at 16 is the culture.
Especially when you can get it like dirt cheap and you pass out, you throw up, your mom loves you even though you threw up all over her house. It's life, whatever.
My God.
So I chose the latter and I joined the Navy, came back to Puerto Rico for a year, had fun. Last day I was here.
How'd you join the Navy? Did they come recruit you? Because I know like
No, they took
they
my
had
ass over there.
recruitment offices and stuff in the floor of 48.
There was. They took my ass over there. Here's a recruitment office in Kissimmee. This guy's gonna give you a good thing. Here, try this. Try the ASVAB test. I went to the ASVAB test drunk.
Nice.
Drunk off my ass, not trying to win because I was like, I'm gonna fail on purpose, so they stop this stupid thing and they won't kick my ass out. It fucked me up, pardon my language, because I loved math. I still love math, but I loved math vehemently at the age of 20. So when the math section came out, where you had to like do quick math answers, I was like just a robot. Bum 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 bum.
Damn, you didn't even think to mess up on purpose.
I didn't try. I mean, I tried to, but I was like, my mom, like my body's like, you better shut the fuck up. But your mama taught you math. You better do it right. I'm like, oh shit. Bum 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 bum. I passed. I got the minimum, and it broke my heart because when I went to the ASVAB test, there's another guy named Jose, and he was studying for 6 months, and this was his second time trying, and he really wanted to join the Navy, and he failed miserably. I'm like, dude, I'm drunk off my ass.
Here you are passing it all drunk.
Yeah. So I did that. Go back to Puerto Rico for a year. Last day I was in Puerto Rico, they did a rave for me as a goodbye in the rainforest. Beautiful thing. Came to Chicago for basic training. Got traumatized by getting screamed at. My head shaved like if I was in jail. I was wearing very short booty pants. Like everyone had to wear very short booty pants. I had to get a crash course on genitalia in the first week because I had to like take a shower with everyone naked, hairy people. You think there's hairy people in this world, ladies and gentlemen? There's things that you don't know. See, dude, there's hair and patterns that stick to your mind like the Mona Lisa. I want to think
that's like, PTSD by itself,
dude. This is oh god. We're not even at the Navy days. We're just at the recruitment day. We're at the boot camp days. Now, cut the boot camp. Right? I'm at boot camp. Obviously, they treat you like trash. They make you do push-ups. They throw up. They make you throw up. My knee got thrown out. Got torn. One of my ligaments came off the bone during a running test. Right, you had to pass. If you didn't pass this test, this running test, specific one, you had to go to the slow team, which was basically like, even if you were like skinny or fat, your ass was gonna run twice as hard until you lost the weight and conditioned yourself to do it.
Wow.
So I barely passed by 1.768 of a second. I remember that number because it was a big ass screen. I looked at it, and the second I passed that line, my knee, I felt the muscle tear like Velcro off my knee bone.
God,
like just crack. I'm like, ever since then, my knee's been shot. Obviously, other things happened to me. Passed. got traumatized, and these are small things, ladies and gentlemen, that you can ask any person that went to military service or went to a graduation. My family wasn't there for graduation. Like I was willing to like throw everything at them because in boot camp they paid you in boot camp, right? But you couldn't buy anything. All you bought was just toothpaste and soap. That's it. And you could only buy like cool things at the second to last day before you left boot camp to go to training school.
How much
So,
they pay you for boot
at the
camp?
time when I went in, I didn't get any, like, remember before you can go in, you can get like different ranks and get more money before you start. I started at level 1. I think like 565 every 2 weeks, something like that, like 560, 600 every 2 weeks.
Not
So I
bad.
had about 2 G's. I was there for 2 months in boot camp, and I was there in the summer. I wasn't there in the winter. I was just burning my ass off and just trying to survive in the heat. But my parents, I was like, look, I'll pay for it. I'll pay for your room and board. I don't even know what room and board is here in Chicago, but I'll try to figure it out.
Mhm.
And they're like, no, your dad has to work. I'm taking care of your sister. Your other brothers are like my mom just couldn't go. So everyone's doing their thing in graduation, and I'm crying in the corner because no one's there, right? Um, Ladies and gentlemen, as well, boot camp works as well for stopping cigarette addiction because when I got the day of getting out, I bought a pack of cigarettes, threw up after the first cigarette. I'm like, I'm like, oh, what the fuck? And I bought it and I kept it in my hand the whole time. And I'm like, my mom never told me to waste things, so I tried to smoke 2 more cigarettes, threw it away, And that's the
So if
first
you
and
want to
only time
quit
I ever threw a
smoking,
pack
go
of
to
cigarettes
boot
away.
camp. That's the trade-off.
Yeah.
God.
So went to training school, met a bunch of cool people, fell in love with omelets because I didn't know what omelets were until like I really got to the cafeteria. I'm like, oh, you can have all this stuff and hand cheese? Yeah, let's go. Um 9/11 happened at 8:45 a.m. in the morning, around that time for me because I was in class reading and understanding pipes in different sizes, and they're telling me, hey, the first tower got hit, and then like a few minutes later, hey, the second tower got hit, and that traumatized everybody. But imagine being in a training school where you couldn't leave. Like you had money. Like I want to get on an airplane. I don't care if airplanes are a risk. I want to get on an airplane, get back to Puerto Rico, and make sure my family's safe. And you couldn't leave. And on top of that, it was a lockdown for a month in my training school. So nothing can come in and out
Why was the lockdown?
because I don't even know why. I just know it was a lockdown because in the first week, people started fiending for cigarettes because people started running out of cartons. And then people are selling $25, $35 a pack of cigarettes, not a box, a pack of cigarettes. And it was getting bad. People were eating oatmeal. The omelet station was gone after the 8th day because I used to go every day. It was bad. And you can call your family, obviously, but you couldn't go there. You couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I have family in New York. All my dad's side is in New York, so I'm trying to call my mom to call my family, like a little telephone system. Like, hey, call them, call everybody, see what's up. And it took me like about 8 to 12 days to figure out that everybody was okay in my family, on my family side. But then you're seeing the videos every day on every TV channel and everything.
Man.
It fucks you up. It fucks you up. And then on top of that, they're like, hey, I know you got like 2 more months in training school. We're just going to expedite that. You're a fireman. Bye. And they sent my ass to San Diego. So I was trying to understand how to be a fireman. And when I got to San Diego, funny story, and ladies and gentlemen, I didn't do this on choice. I got there and my ship left. On the day I got there like 2 hours late because of a flight. And when I got there, the ship was stationed to go like out to sea for like a month to do training.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got there 2 hours late and they were gone. So I had to stay in like in room and board with food for free for a month. And they're like, hey, we're looking for Alex Romero. And I'll be like, I don't know, man. I mean, come back next week. Check him out. And then week after week after a month later, I'm like, all right, you know what? I got to come in. I came in. They put me in the engineering. And this is like now here comes the hard stuff. We went all, and it was fine the first 6 months. We were getting to know each other. I was a hard worker. I was down like about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 floors down from the main level. So 8 floors down engineering, and you never saw the sun. The fluorescent light was your sun and your god.
Jeez.
I mean, that was my son and my god for about 3 years. Um,
Wow.
we get to Afghanistan, but we were just in Afghanistan for a little bit to drop off something and leave. Then we go to Iraq, and we talked about this in the first interview. The LHD-6, the USS Bonhomme Richard, was a Harrier carrier. They would just take Harrier jets, and they would take the hover jets, the hover things in the water that you see in military. They would take those, and we would take 2,000, not 2,000, about 1,200, 1,300 Marines to over there, which was like instead of
Iraq.
taking your ass on a plane, take your ass on a boat and take your ass in there in 6 months. Like it was a very slow process. It's really ridiculous. But that's how they wanted to do it. This is a second kind of hurt saying this. On the night that they bombed Iraq, looking for specific targets, engineering, they parked the boat. They put the anchor down, and engine one was off, engine two was doing on standby, just making sure everything was okay. And they said everyone's off, right? We're gonna just work a skeleton crew. We're fine. With diesel engines are fine. We're fine. So we're just watching, and I go back to the barracks, and we're just watching in this TV. And they're showing. And by the way, I forgot to tell you this last time. They're showing this on the main deck, where like when you come in, where guest comes in and tourists want to come into the ship. There's a main deck, not the one on top where you see the sun, but like below it. On the main deck, there's a giant projector, and they're showing the same thing that we're seeing on TV in the barracks and engineering,
like a movie.
Yeah, and people are just there watching that.
Yeah.
And we're just watching Harrier after Harrier POV of videos of the Harriers, because you don't get that on CNBC and anything else. We see it here, and they're just flying and just dropping, and then you see the POV of the bomb dropping, and then they would just they sometimes they would come in a little slow to kind of give you an aerial view, and then they would show us like the slow picture versions of what they saw, like the slow video of it, and then all you saw was just red fire, black brimstone explosions, and at the end of the night, while people were cheering, ladies and gentlemen, people were cheering freedom, freedom, America, America.
Who was cheering? Servicemen.
Everybody, engineering, deck, flight. Everybody was like, because again, we were
just like a sport, bro.
Yeah, this was a month after 9/11. We were literally a month, 2 months after 9/11. People were just going after anybody Arab, and we were in Iraq about 2-3 months. That's when we started saying, hey, I think Saddam Hussein's in this thing too, even though we were just in Afghanistan.
Right.
And you know what? Let's go to Iraq.
Just for kicks.
Just to go to Iraq. And then they did that. And to this day, ladies and gentlemen, that's why I'm pausing right now, because I remember it. I remember I was 19, 20 years old. I was sitting in the barracks with a whole bunch of people I used to work with, and deck as well, because deck people used to come in and hang out in the barracks. And I would see them just cheer like, yeah, kill them, send N-words and all these things. And I was the only Puerto Rican in my boat. Ladies and gentlemen, technically I was the only Puerto Rican, because there was 3 others, but I'm not going to debate their genealogy. I would just say I'm not going to do that again. I'm just going to
say they were fraudulent.
Exactly. I'm not going to get in trouble with this. But I was the only Puerto Rican, true blood Puerto Rican, living in Puerto Rico, coming from Puerto Rico,
claiming Puerto Rico.
Exactly. Everyone else was like, I'm Puerto Rican. I'm like, no, we're not doing that shit. Ladies and gentlemen, before I left the ship, someone else from a town over came to my ship, and he was Puerto Rican, in the sense of like, motherfucker was living there and then he just left. That's right. Puerto Rican to me. But we're not getting into that. We're not getting into genealogy. They what if I was an Arab? What if I was a Egyptian or something in that boat during that time that was happening? Because again, what I'm about to tell you now, ladies and gentlemen, happened to me, and I was a Puerto Rican. I was not an Arabic descent. I want to say that right now. I called my mom after that. I called my mom immediately after that. And I said, "Hey, mom, I'm crying. This is ridiculous. People are dying." My mom's like, "Just keep it together. You got a few more years. Like if it was a jail sentence, like you got a few more years, you can do it. Just take your time. Just keep your head low. 'Cause my mom's old school like that. I'm like, all right,
Yeah, yeah.
I get that. Um, Over the years, we went around the world. We went to Thailand and Singapore and Australia. We were supposed to go to Japan, but the SARS virus happened, so we couldn't go to Japan. We went off the east coast of Africa, helped some people with the CBs make a house for refugees and
Hmm.
destitute people. Um, we went to Guam. We went to San Francisco and a bunch of other places. And during that time, things happened that would make a person pee themselves because if they knew who these people were, and if they knew that isolation, long periods of time, and high school mentality doesn't work in a ship mentality, and especially when everyone has cliques.
Right.
Because I was again only Puerto Rican. People from the Fifth Ward, Sixth Ward from Texas used to beat me up because I was proud for Puerto Rican. I'm like, oh, Puerto Rican stand up, got my ass beat. People from Alabama used to beat me up. People from all around the world. It didn't even matter where you were from. People around the world used to beat me the crap up in my ship because I was different. Because I smelled
Just
a little bit. I like drum and bass music. I didn't really understand how to do laundry because my mom didn't really teach me, but that's on me. That's not my mom's fault. Um, Over the years, I got a cup of piss thrown at me. I got a cup of jizz thrown at me. I got punched. I got stabbed. I got thrown down a flight of metal stairs. I had a metal giant monkey wrench about this big. The big ones got hit in my knee, thus messing up my knee even more.
damn.
Um,
So you all that because you were Puerto Rican, like there were no other minorities on board. They're like, yo, chill, relax.
No, because again, the Filipinos had their gang, Mexicans had their gang, white people had their gang, South white people had their gang, North white people had their gang. Black people was either you were black from Detroit, Chicago, New York, or Texas. And maybe some Missouri or Louisiana guys, but they were like I had a friend that was from Louisiana, a dentist assistant, super nice guy, right? But he was friends with the guys from the Sixth Ward. But whenever I got beat up, he's like, "Whoop, stage left," and got the hell out of there. And I respected that because, like, he's my friend. He's my friend, but those are my boys. And if I hang out here some more, I have to beat up my friend. So I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Right. Had to
And
make a
I respected
choice.
that because he's my
Damn,
friend.
bro.
Yeah, like I had no ill will to the point I talked about this last time. Second year, I just got out of probation again because I just did some stupid things. We're not gonna talk about that. Asked for a cigarette. I was getting money the next day on the ship. It was on the ship. It wasn't probation in life. It was probation on the ship. It's nothing.
Right, right, right.
Whatever.
Right.
It's a slap. It's a slap. Whatever. I asked for a cigarette from a guy that works with me. I'm not gonna say his name. He says no. I'm like, hey, dude, I got some money. I'm getting money. I'm getting paid tomorrow with my card, and I'll buy you a pack of cigarettes. And you just give me one. He's like, no. I said, and I quote, I give you a scowl. I'm scowling at you. And I scowled at him. Alabama, which I will say that guy's his friend Alabama came in and they gave each other a look, and then they grabbed me. The Alabama grabbed me from behind with my arms like that, and then the other guy with his cigarette that was lit burnt me right here, just like a crayon.
Can you report this stuff though?
Huh?
Can you report this stuff to higher ups? What happens?
Here comes the kicker. All right. He burns me, right? Punches me in the stomach a couple times, kicks me down, and they leave laughing. I go to the military police MP's office. I say, hey, this guy in Alabama burnt me on my face. I go back and I have to work with them a few hours later. So I go to work and they're making fun of me and laughing at me. The MPs come down, they do an investigation. My superiors are like, hey, don't just keep it internal. We'll keep this resolved. I'm like, fuck
Hell no.
you guys treat me like shit over the years. The reason I go into jail all the time, and I'll say this now to give you context. The reason I go to jail in military terms in the ship, ship, when we're in jail, we're on the ship floating somewhere in the Atlantic, whatever, Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
I get like special detail for 2 weeks, or I have to do like special time. And I did that because half the time they were kicking my fucking ass. I was like, fuck it, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Oh, you're supposed to be back. You're supposed to be back here. And you're supposed to be back in San Diego in 26 days. Well, I'll see your ass in 27 days. Fuck
You
you.
were intentionally going to jail
Yeah.
to stay away from getting your ass whooped.
Yeah, because I knew that no matter what, I'll be monitored by military police between the hours of 2 to 6 and 10 to 12, and I won't get my ass kicked.
Jeez.
So works for me, and I'll have an excuse not to go to work from 2 to 6 and 10 to 12. Fucked up their schedules because of what I did, but I didn't care, which made it worse. Now, we go through all this. Like I said, I got beat up. I got stabbed. I got thrown down a flight of stairs. But I want to say something that traumatized me because it's something that human behavior, it reminds me. Okay, this didn't happen to me, but this happened on my ship. And anyone that's watching, you can Google this. Just Google horrendous crime, Thailand, Navy girl 2001, 2002, around that time. It's around those headlines, all right? This actually happens.
I don't want to give my audience PTSD watching some crazy
Oh no,
stuff.
it's okay. Then don't look it up, ladies and gentlemen. I'll give you a nice little description of that shit. I'll give you a PG-13 version for your audience. Guy takes a girl out on a date. Marine and Navy. Navy's the girl, Marine's the guy. Takes her out whining and dining in Thailand, just having fun. Walking on the beach at the night, they look in each other's eyes. He tells her, I want to give me that good stuff. She says, you know what? I don't want to give it. Marine has been doing some illegal drugs that night that she did not. So he was amped up and she was not.
Mm-hmm.
She said no. He said yes. She said no. He said physical violence, physical violence, physical violence. Things got ripped off things.
Yeah.
Luckily, an MP.
Golly, man.
Luckily, an MP that was walking on that beach was like, I'm supposed to guard the streets, but I really want to see the beach for a little bit because I've never been to Thailand beach, right? So by him doing that out of nowhere, he's like, let me just go to the beach and do something I'm not supposed to do, but let me just walk on the beach and like let me look at the beach. So while he's walking on the beach and looking at the beach, he sees the Marine and the neighbor girl and stops him, right? So thank the God for that, right? They arrest him. He's on my boat. People are offering $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $17,000 to the MP for 5 minutes with the guy.
Jeez.
5 minutes with the guy. Real shit. He's going to Leavenworth, but he has to wait about a week until trial and then has to be flown to Leavenworth. I put a bid in there. I'm like, I'll give you $100 straight up. Just give me 4 seconds and a fork. That's it. 4 seconds and a fork. That's all I need. Just boom. That's all I need. That's it.
That's some true prison stuff right there, bro.
All right, 4 seconds, bro. That's it. Make his ass a tic-tac-toe board on his abs. But again, I had to survive. But again, he got arrested and everything else. Another time, a guy and a girl, Navy decked hands. Girl was married, guy was not. Guy fell in love with the girl. Girl fell in love with the guy. When they were coming back home, girl tells the guy, well, you know what? I'm leaving you to go back with my husband. And just for future reference, I'm going to tell everybody that you RAP me. Because you're a big guy and I'm a small girl.
Mm-hmm.
She said that while they were in the front of the ship of the LHD Bonhomme Richard. Now, when I say front of the ship, if we look at terms of this is the front of the ship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can imagine what's down here.
Come on, man.
He threw her off the ship. That's about 90 to 120 feet down. And didn't say anything until someone said, hey, where's the girl that was next to you? Oh, I threw her off. You might want to call in rescue team. So you can imagine a ship that was moving in the middle of the night. This is the middle of the night, by the way. Kept moving, and then she got dropped. And then they kept moving, and about 30 minutes later, they had to turn around and try to find her. And they found her. They found her.
What?
They found her. They found her.
Alive.
They found her. Luckily, we were around Japan and Laos,
They
like
found
around
her
that
alive.
area. Hmm?
They found her alive?
Yeah, she was alive.
Holy
She's alive. Yeah. Again, this is in an hour, but between 30 minutes and an hour, because by the time he went down and explained everything, they had to go back up to the captains, and the captain was asleep. Hey, captain, by the way, one of your deckhands got thrown off the ship. We need an emergency. Like, we're going to do this. We just need you. Okay, thank you. And then wake up, everybody. And then everybody got woken up. Everybody got woken up because everyone had to do a head count. All right, engineering, how many people you got? Deck, how many people you got? Da 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 da. Okay, who's missing? Oh, this one girl. Okay, turn this bitch
Jesus
around.
Christ, bro.
That's again, that happened. That actually happened one time. Again, he got arrested. He went to Leavenworth. He did not have any regret. He said, "Look, I fell in love with this woman. She broke my heart. She was gonna tell people that I was RAPing this person, and I wasn't. So I told myself, so your logical thing was to throw her off the ship. I would just get some lawyer representation, man. Something. I mean,
Dude, the military messes you up. If you weren't messed up before, then you get messed up in there.
that's like that. But after all that happening, and again, I got kicked out the military because of things, but mostly because I was fighting and bad decisions. I left and I came back here to Puerto Rico, and I was only in Puerto Rico for 1 year. 1 year. That's it. And then my mom's like, look, you can meet your brother that you haven't seen in like 15 years. Because after my dad died, my mom took me to Puerto Rico, and I haven't seen my dad's side of the family for like a long time until I was 15, which I forgot to say. I went back to New York when I was 15 to see my grandma and visit my grandma on my dad's side, and she died 2 days into the vacation.
Jeez,
and
man.
and then all out of here was like her death and her not forgiving my mom, because she always thought that my mom was the reason that my dad died. But no, the 80s was the reason my dad died. My mom was a rock. She was the only reason that he was lasting 5 years. Let's be ridiculously clear here.
Wow.
Fighting and just crying. I remember that, and I cried. I actually had that. I wanted to cry when my grandma died, so I had to force myself to cry in a phone booth because I wasn't crying. I'm like, this is my dad's mom, and I should feel sadness for her, but she didn't really respect my mom. But my mom is telling me to like mourn for her because that's the right thing to do.
It's a tough situation. Like,
Yeah.
what do I do?
The circle of things. So I come back. I like a year later, after I left the Navy, my mom sent my ass to Jacksonville. I hanged out with my brother for a year. I fell in love with a girl named FMC. I'm gonna say that like that because I don't want her to come after me.
Yeah, let's keep her anonymous.
Yeah. She was 18, just turned 18, which I have proof. I saw the ID and I checked that I was real. No, this you laughing. That's the real shit you gotta do these days, man. Check the ID, check if it's real. We fell in love. She moved in like a month in. Then she turned me into a cuckold and would have orgy sex in my house when I was working at nighttime. My neighbor told me this and recorded it, so that was just a thing I found out. So that was a traumatic thing. She tried to poison me and give me trust things. I forgot to tell you this. One time when she loved cocaine, by the way. One time in her I did it, not my thing. One time when her crazy adventures, she did a lot of cocaine, and she mixed Lipton iced tea, Ajax, Pringles, and some water, and said, "Baby, if you trust me," and this is real life shit, "Baby, if you trust me, take this cup and drink it.
What the hell?
Trust me." And I look at it, I'm like, this is some shit like that can kill like the Toxic Avenger, right? Like, no. Oh, good. But you trust me, right? Just put it in your mouth. I'm like, I'm going to die. It's okay. And at that point, I'm like, this bitch is crazy. You know what? This bitch is fucking crazy. Pardon to you, but this bitch is crazy. So it came to a point, and then she would disappear sometimes. She would go for like 2-3 weeks at a time and disappear. Then she would come back with a 16-year-old girl. I'm like, I'm getting the fuck out of my house and sleeping in my brother's house until you get her the fuck out of my house. Last day I saw her, I told her bye. This is over. I don't want to be with you anymore. She stabbed me between my belly button and my pelvis, like below that, right between. Stole 90% of my stuff, called the cops on me. The cops came.
Well,
They
damn.
recognized her and said she's been a nuisance since she was 16. So do you want to press charges on her? I'm like, fuck yeah. She called the cops on me. She called the cops on me also because there was weed in my house. But shout out to BX. Someone who was my neighbor is like, hey, give me that shit, run it. And then he hit it. So when the cops came,
Bro,
they
you're
left.
living a real life movie right now, man.
Yeah,
This is like
we get to the creepy
you
part.
couldn't script this.
Like, we get to the creepy part. Shout out to you, BX. I love it. I forgot his name, but I always call him BX because he's like, oh, I'm a BX too. I'm like, oh, cool. She gets arrested. She's like ranting, just scrambling her face. She gets into the cop car, rambling, scranting in her face. The cop car closes. She stops. Looks right at me and says, "I'm going to find you." And mouths it because I can't hear, but I can see it. I did not sleep for 3 days.
Hell no.
For Mike, I did it straight up. Didn't I went to work, went back home, didn't go to sleep, drank as much as I could, didn't even pass out drinking, went to my brother's house, stayed at my brother's house. Third day, I told him, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm going back to Puerto Rico. I'm not going to die over an 18-year-old blue-eyed blonde girl. Hell no. So in 3 days, I sold everything. I got everything that I had. I got away on the third day. I was leaving on the fourth day. On the third day, I went to the same bus stop where I would get picked up to go to my job. Because my friends, like my cousins, like, hey, let's drive around, let's smoke and drink. I'm like, all right, whatever. So we're smoking and just driving around, and then I see her, FMC, like sitting right next to the trash, and she sees me. I was like, ah, fuck. She's like, no, please, 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 please stop. So I stop because I'm like, please stop. So I stop. She comes to the window. She smells like hot garbage. I am not exaggerating this because she's a woman and she's my ex. No, she literally smelled like fucking hot garbage. I was like, okay, I love you. Please forgive me. I'm like, I'm leaving. You going back to Puerto Rico? Like, no. I didn't, cause I was, but I wasn't gonna tell. Like, no, I'm going to New York. I'm going to New York. I'm going to my family's house. I'm gonna stay there for a while. I can't go back to Puerto Rico. I'm banned there. Oh, I love you. She kissed me, kissing hot garbage. So I got on the plane, went back home, and for about 3 years, I had PTSD of any blonde girl, blue-eyed, 5'4" to 5'6", chubby. I would freak out and run away, literally run away. Okay. Fast forward to now, and that was between 25 until now, right? All right. Between 25 and 29 years old, I lost 4 of my friends. Between 28 and 29, my best friend got murdered behind the liquor store, and I saw his body before I even said goodbye.
Wow.
At 29 years old, I got a woman that I just met and was having drunken sex with all the time, pregnant. That was on me. And I wore condoms, but the day that I didn't wear a condom because I didn't,
Of course,
was the day that, yes,
come on, man.
of course. I saw gang murders. I saw gang shootings. The FBI has come to where I live about 7 times. U.S. Marshals has come over here too. I've seen drive-bys. I've buried my father. I've buried my.
This is in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, it's all Puerto Rico between 25 and now.
The tourist haven.
Yeah, but again, in
Puerto Rico.
Yeah, but in a local perspective of living in my town, this is the trauma that I've been through. But in the sense of like living in Puerto Rico, the good parts of it, dude, I've had a blast. Between 25 and 29, I was an alcoholic, going to San Juan every freaking weekend and drinking like crazy, dancing with fat chicks in fucking clubs, making out with girls, and I don't remember their names to this day, freaking eating like 5 meat sandwiches that are like $4 with mayonnaise and mustard, like best shit of my life. Craziest times. But I have to equate it with all the bad stuff too, because like stuff that happens. And then when I had my son, like I was still an immature piece of shit. As even when my son was born, because I was living by myself, taking care of him by myself. By the time my son was born, I was living in a house with no light, no water, that my mom's let me stay there. I would walk about a half a mile twice every day to go to the private beach to take a shower because they had like shower things.
Yeah.
Take a shower and then walk, which was fucking ridiculous because you're walking over there and you're fucking sweating, and then you're walking all the way back and you're sweating.
And you're sweating.
Yeah, you're fucked. But I was like, I had to take something off, right? I would walk really, really slow on the way back.
You didn't want to smell like hot garbage like the
Yeah,
girls. So.
but I still smell like ass. I would eat. I would have enough money sometimes between 25 and 31. No, not 25. Between 27 and 31, I would have enough money to buy a loaf of bread and potted meat. That's like $2 here. But a loaf of bread's like this big and potted meat's like this big. So you had like I lost my hair. I had ESS, which is extreme stress syndrome. You usually get that from PTSD survivors and people that have like extreme stress syndromes or traumatic events living with bad areas too. So imagine you are having a depressing week, Mr. Mike, and you don't eat the necessary or drink the necessary vitamins and minerals that you need for that week. Obviously, you're just drinking water. You maybe are like really depressed, so you've had in the whole week an equivalent of maybe 3 pounds of food. That's it, but never meat. It was like processed foods, fast foods, salty foods. And then you wake up in a Monday morning and the size of, let's say, like 3 of your fingers, the left side of your head is gone. That's all just a bald spot. That's it. And you're like that for about 2 years. And you don't know why. And you change your habits and you change your diet and you change your mentality. But you have a giant spot right here that's forever, and then another one there, and then another one there. When I went to a doctor, my doctor said it's your living environment because you're living in a house with no light and water. You're not really cleaning it as well, so you're not really living in safe conditions, but also psychological at the same time. For example, right here you see this little spot right here, which is nothing to you. For me, this was 2 cysts that I had. That my whole arm blew up this much.
Wow.
And I went to work with a blown up arm, working in a car wash because I couldn't stop working because if I stopped working, they fire me.
Right.
Fired, I can't pay my bills. So I've lived in painful times. I've had system. This at one point, and ladies and gentlemen, viewers discretion is advised. When I had to do the second time on this one, I couldn't go to the doctor because I didn't have a Medicare card. So I got some tweezers, hot water, and just a shower, and just pulled out the root by myself. I've had people shotgun my leg. I've had people throw a javelin, and these are things that happen. Again, that didn't mess me up. That's life. The part that messed me up was living here in Puerto Rico, having a kid, not providing for him, not giving him the things that he needs, living off the wick, living off freaking powdered.
Wait,
Yeah.
man. You trying to tell me 3 years old seeing a dead body?
Yeah.
Military, seeing people get blown up.
Yeah.
Getting beat up. Like coming back in Puerto Rico, all these things happening.
Yep.
That's not what put you over the top.
No, because you know why? Because here living where, okay, you have to remember this also, and this is the part that I didn't say. Between the times that I came back to Puerto Rico and I have lived in Puerto Rico, I have survived 4 hurricanes.
Yeah.
4. Maria, Olga, Hugo, and Fiona. Fiona and Maria are the earliest ones. I'm still in the time frame where I did Hugo, Olga, and the other ones that destroyed, and literally where people are on surfboards doing surf, going from place to place for days, not for hours, for days, because everything was just when you live in an island like we do in Puerto Ricans, as Puerto Rico and as Puerto Ricans, you have to have the mentality of you can either live or die, but that is not the main focus that you have. That is the subconscious focus that you have. But that should never be the focus. You know what I mean? It's a weird thing that I always deal with.
What's the focus then?
The focus is to get up, go to work, get some good food if you can, pay your bills. If you have someone that you love them if you can love them back, and go to sleep. And have a good time if you can. And some people live and die without even doing that here in Puerto Rico. They work, They go to work, they wake up, they go to work, they die at 75.
You know what's crazy to me is Puerto Rico is supposed to be a state, right? A territory. You guys vote?
Nope,
You guys get the vote?
nope, not for you guys.
So, so y'all don't get the vote. Y'all pay taxes.
Yep,
So you pay taxes and you don't get to vote.
nope.
What is the benefit? I guess you get called U.S. citizens. That's about the only benefit, right? You can go in and out of the states, no problem.
That's it. Yeah, and everything that you have, we get, but in the Canada version. Like, we don't get everything that you have in America. We get about 65% of the things here. Supermarkets and fast food chains are like lockholds here. Like, you only get here. Popeyes and Arby's are finally coming out here. Finally, like Popeye's been here for a few years. Arby's just came out last year. PF Chang's has only been here for 5 years, and you guys have heard that so much. Denny's have been here for so long, but we don't got a Waffle House. We don't got like none of those places. We don't have a Hardee's. We don't have a Sonic. We don't have none of those places. We don't have a like.
So y'all get all the taxes with no benefits.
Yeah, we get the
taxation without representation.
Huh? That's true. We're fighting. I'm talking about that on my channel on YouTube, Ricky Reactions, ladies and gentlemen, where we are fighting for a political stance here, where people are saying that independents are communists and socialists, where everyone else that has a fucking brain in my island's like, well, we've been voting blue and red for the last 60 years, and all we're getting is corruption, corruption, corruption. Should we keep voting for that?
It's like, do you have an option? What is the alternative?
Well, the alternative is
red,
trying
blue,
something different.
green.
That's what people are scared of, and that's another trauma.
Yeah,
yeah, that's another thing. That's another traumatizing thing here. Like, I'm voting for independence. Like, even if, and again, ladies and gentlemen, even if we vote for independence, it's up to America to let us go to become independent. That's the part that people forget. We can be a communistic, socialistic, independent country, and like, it's like you having a teenager, right? And then they're putting a Che Guevara shirt, and you're like, okay, it doesn't do me anything, but sure, knock yourself out. You're a rebel kid, and really, like, I'm still paying for that shirt. You know what I mean? It's just that's the part that people are scared. Oh no, that's
so even if Puerto Rico were to say, "Yep, we want to be out of here," the U.S. has to be like, "Yeah," and they're not gonna do that.
No, we still. By the way, we pay $3 million a year in corruption tax, openly. Like, we are not in 1940 Chicago, for fuck's sake. But yet we do that. But again, we're not getting into politics. That's again about that. Wrestling, like, I'm sorry, not wrestling. My life happened, all that stuff. I had a kid. I tried to be with the mother of my child. It didn't work out because we were both insecure and we were both children at the time of our lives. I was young and she was young too. I was 29 and she was 24. So she just and she was the type of woman that just got out of her house. Like, her parents would like lock her up all the time and not let her out. Like, no, you're a girl. You only get out when you get married. So when she would get out, she was
once she got out.
Yeah, mouth open, pussy open. That's how she was.
Come on, man.
Oh, she's the mother of my child. She knew how she was. She was a hoe. She knew. She can't say nothing about that. I love you, girl. But
I can't, man.
That's my life. But after that, like, I had a mental breakdown, like, when my son was around 5, because I was living with the mother of my child. But by the time my son was born and 5 years old, I had already seen 4 bodies. My son had already seen a body before he hit 5 years old. And again, that was by accident because the person died in front of our house, and he crawled outside from the hood. If you give terms of how far you can think and imagine, everyone in the audience, if you want, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 100 steps. The guy walked about 100 steps from the outside to where we lived, and then died. So it's a pool of blood, right? So he saw that. My son did. I tried to push him away but everyone's like trying to get, what's going on? To this day, I wish I would have pulled my son away more so he didn't see it. But I was still traumatized by that too, because again, I was like, I knew this guy. I just talked to him yesterday. He asked me for a fucking quarter, And now he's dying right there, and no one can help him because obviously, what the fuck you gonna do? Like, you're bleeding out. There's no doctor. I can't do anything. I'm sorry. So that happens. But again, I had a mental breakdown when my son was 5. Due to the fact that a friend of mine gave me a whole bottle of like expired Xanaxes. Yeah, such is life. Went crazy.
This is playing like a movie, man.
Okay,
Like
went
a crazy movie that nobody's gonna believe.
No, of course no one's gonna believe me. But that's what I love about my life. The only people that truly know my life are the people that have been around my life for the last 30 years. The mother of my child, my son, my mom, my friends. Like, if anyone came in with a documentary crew and sat their asses down, like, yeah, this shit all happened. This motherfucker got hit by a car 4 times and is still alive. This motherfucker got electrocuted 4 times, drowned twice, and is still alive.
They'll be like, this story won't even make it in Hollywood. It's too fake, bro.
Yeah. And then like people are like, I have the pictures, I have the video of it. Like, this is things that happened to me that I try to tell people like, oh, you're making it up. Like, nah, dude. This is just my life. When you live a weird life like me, and again, I'm not even ramping up to the fact that after that, after my mental breakdown, after I fell in love with my kid as a father. Like, it was around 6 years old. 6 years old, 2 months, 3 days. Exactly. I remember that day because it was a day that was traumatizing, but in a good way. And I want to say why that you remember things by wonder or by trauma. Those are the only 2 ways you can remember things in life. If you get in wonder of seeing something cool, like one time in my life, I saw a dolphin jump over a humpback whale and I saw a rainbow come out of it. That's wonder. Trauma. Every time I go to the store where I live right now and I take the shortcut, I look down and I see where my friend got murdered. And he's been dead for 7 years.
Wow.
Every time. If and only if I take the shortcut to the plaza to go to the store to buy cigarettes, right? My son was crying one day and he did a whoopsie. And at that point, I like, the world should burn if anything happens to my son. And I loved my son after that. And we've had fights over the years. My son is 6'4". I'm 5'11". On my mom's side, they grow him really tall. My grandpa was 6'8". Tall
Yikes.
boy. Loved his life. I'm the runt in my family. All the women in my family are short, like 5'5", and I'm the runt. My brothers are 6'2", 6'3". Asshole.
Damn.
But
what happened to you?
I know what happened to me. My brothers got breastfed. I did not.
That'll do it.
Yeah, my mom told me, I ain't got no time for breastfeeding. I had to go back to work. I'm like, that's the reason I'm fucking short. That's the fucking reason. Like, I gave my genetics to my son. My son was sucking on my baby mama's milk for like until he was 4. That's
hell no.
4. Beast. But either way, I fell in love with him as a father. We talk every day. He's 15 years old. Again, whiny 15, but I love him every single day. And he teaches me about memory and like repetition. Because the guy thinks I'm stupid and he lies to me sometimes. I'm like, I know what the fuck you're doing. I did the exact same thing and when I was 16. Like, you're not that smart. What do you mean? I'm like, if you're going to laugh in the 3 seconds if I say this, then you're lying. Da. Yeah, thought so. Liar. And then he has to admit, I'm sorry. So that's what I mean. Like, it's funny seeing like a reflection of yourself, but you can be the asshole dad and be like, oh, fuck that shit. Or you can be the dad like, huh. So that's what I did when I was 16. I was a dumbass.
Do you fear that he's gonna replicate some of your behavior, pick up some of your bad habits?
Sometimes, but not in a large percentage, like in a 30%. In that aspect, he doesn't like drinking. He doesn't like smoking cigarettes. He hates smoking marijuana.
Is that because he saw you do it, or
yeah? He saw his daddy being a drunk, so he's like, no, I'm not gonna be like that. He saw his daddy using marijuana to calm down his anxiousness and his PTSD. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I've been smoking since I've been 24, and I haven't stopped. At least marijuana for my anxiety and my PTSD. And people smoke to get all wild and crazy. I smoke to become regular, just to be this.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, you remember, like, just me. And that's what people get. I have a medical, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I have a medical marijuana license. Be like, oh my God, I'm going to report him to the FBI. Oh, swat him. No, okay. No, I have a license. After that, I learned life over here. Like I told you, I have my own YouTube channel. My name, Alex Coquito, is based on a racist term from another channel, which we're best friends from now. So shout out to the Misfit Nation. You were racist in the beginning. We're the good guys now. So I appreciate that change. And now,
Yo, man.
my life is life. Like if you go to the Misfit Nation, write down, you yourself, ladies and gentlemen, write down Misfit Nation, Alex Coquito. That's it, right? And then go as far back as about 4 years, 3-4 years. You'll find the origin. I'll tell them to unlock it because they had to prioritize that shit. It was too raw.
Wow.
It was too raw. So I'll tell them to take that off unlisted. But after that, now because of my life, I was also in a wrestling podcast. Got kicked out because the guy who made it was like, "I'm not doing this anymore." Blah blah. Don't care about you guys' mentalities. Don't care. And for people that have PTSD and anxiety, and if you like sports, that's a good outlet to talk about it. Like to really use that, like once a week, talk about, but don't be toxic. Be like, fucking Pete Manning is a fucking blah, blah. No, like really talk about it, really analyze these things. And that's what I did in my aspect of wrestling. I would watch wrestling and read the play-by-plays. Mr. Mike knows this, that before this interview even started, I was watching NXT and I had to watch the NXT by play-by-play, writing it down, writing the stats, the highlights, before commercial, after commercial. And it helped. The guy that did it, he should not be named, was like, you know what? Screw you guys, I'm out of here. Like, okay, fine. Whatever. Then me and a couple other friends said, you know what? We still want to talk about wrestling and we don't want to be unheard. So we invented the podcast. Well, actually, I invented it. I invented the podcast for unappreciated wrestling fans. I said, you guys want to talk about wrestling and random shit? He's like, yeah, sure. Let's go. So we did that.
Check out the pod, y'all.
It's a good place. And now from that, we have another place called NXT Time with D-Walk, a guy from Flint, Michigan, which if you live in Flint, Michigan, oh my God, I mean, you're a survivor. I respect you. I've told my friend Dennis every single damn time. You live in Flint, Michigan, you still live in Flint, Michigan?
Right. You stayed there? Oof.
You survived. I need Beyonce singing for you right now. After
so
that,
let me ask you this, because this story is phenomenal, and I for the audience who's like, man, this guy seems crazy. That's what I thought too when I heard the story. Like this guy is nuts, and I wanted you guys to hear it uncut and raw because PTSD takes different forms, and for you, I want to say this is like extreme exposure to trauma that probably 99% of the people aren't going to experience seeing someone die or stumbling upon a dead body or going to the military and basically getting firsthand point of view shots of people getting bombed and like getting their ass beat on board. Like all the things you experience, 99.9% of the people are not going to experience that.
okay.
So you have a different level of trauma. So it's going to take special measures to heal and to recover. I know you talk about anxiety and you're medical marijuana and you've been smoking forever, but like, what do you do? Is there anything, right? Maybe that's the appropriate question. Like, is there anything you can do for this amount of trauma and trying to recover from post-traumatic syndrome? Because like,
yeah,
that's tough, bro.
I've seen worse. That's the crazy thing about this. I've seen worse people and who has worse problems right now. I'll give you an example because this is worse than me. There's a guy. I'm gonna call him Claw. Say it like that. Guy named Claw. Claw had a wife and kid. Wife still alive, kid still alive. Claw has mental issues. Claw has to get stabbed in the stomach with a needle every month with lithium for his mental habit. He's had a hard life. He was abused, touched as a kid, really messed up with his head. So every day he needs to do that, right? Claw has an anger problem, really bad anger problem, and kind of a bratty kid problem that he demands things. If you don't get it to him, he gets really angry, right? At the same time, his wife is on drugs. His kid is hanging out with gangbangers, but at the same time, they don't like him because he talks English more than Spanish, so they treat him racially because he talks more English than Spanish in Puerto Rico. He doesn't care. Always trying to get money for the drugs, always trying to get money for the food, always trying to get money for the drugs, always trying to get money for the food. One day, a woman says no at a bus at a light because she's at the light and he's at the light asking for money at the light, and this says no. He throws an object inside the car, right? A rock, little pebble or something. The rock ricochets in the car, and again, it was a woman in the car, but there was also an 8-year-old kid. 8-year-old kid. Rock ricochets inside the car, hits the kid right here in the head, right here. Opens up a really good gash. Claw gets his ass beat by about 16 different people from 16 parts of my same town for what they did. Because when you beat up a kid or an animal here in Puerto Rico, you get your ass beat. No question. No gender or race bias at all. You just get beat. So he got beat, got kicked out of our town for 6 months, came back. Got hostage situation by the cops. His kid is in child protective services. His wife, who is crazy, got kicked out of the hood, which is hard to do, but you get kicked out. So you get kicked out of the hood. Now, Claw and the wife, who have not seen their kid for about a year now and don't know where he is, are living in an abandoned place. And every day they go to the light to get drugs and food, which is not really food. They get Gatorade and cupcakes and Chinese food every day, and they eat it. And you can imagine where they do number twos. And that's their life. And I see them every day. As the sun comes up and as the moon goes down, that's when I see them. And that's worse than me. So you can say, oh, you see all this crazy stuff and all these deaths. They're living that shit every day. And they're not going to be like, and I know for a fact, but I have a good percentage that they're never going to get better. And it's only going to get worse until one or two die. And then the son, with the repetition of hanging out with crazy parents, is going to be the same exact way.
So how do you? That's wild. So I take that back. Maybe there's one more person crazier than you, living
there's more
having
people,
crazier experience.
I'm just giving you an example of who I know right now. There's more people I've known in my life that you
listen,
would cry.
I believe it. I believe it, right? I just believe that, and all the people I've talked to about mental health and experiences I know, like yours is the most dramatic, the most traumatic. Yours is the most unique of someone who continually experiences these things over and over and over. So that's why I want to know from you, like, have you tried just regular psychiatrists, psychologists? Like, what have you tried to deal with this? What are you doing now to deal with this? What can you share with my audience who's struggling? I don't know if it's the same level, but some form of PTSD, like to heal from this stuff. Because you can't live like this forever, bro. Like,
yeah. I mean, you know what's funny? My friend, shout out to Joy. She told me the same thing. Like, you can't live like this. Like, you're holding on to the pain and trauma.
Yeah, yeah.
But here's the part that I tried to explain to her, drunk and sober. And to this day, she doesn't understand. So maybe you will. You and a wise man told me this. Shout out to my friend Pooh Bear. A wise man told me this once, and his name was actually Pooh Bear. So I'm not. You can hide from your demons and flaunt your angels, but the way to correctly go about it is to walk side by side with your devils and angels. So there's no shame and no backstabs at the same time. So I live my life knowing about the traumas that I've done and knowing that the traumas that have been done to me. And I remind myself that if I can go to sleep and wake up the next day and get to see the sun, it's a blessing. And that is something that most people will never have in this world, that when I wake up. So that's how I deal with the trauma. My friend never gets that. Yeah, but I'm like, no, I can move. So let's leave. I'm like, okay, I can move from my town, and right, I can go to the other side of the island, and I can
Yeah.
never see any of the things that traumatize me again. But my memory will do that.
No,
Me
it's
talking-
embedded in your brain already, bro.
Yeah. She's like, you gotta change your brain to do things. I'm like, you can do that, ladies and gentlemen. There are ways to not beat depression, not beat PTSD, but to control it to a point that you can be stable. Not forever, but stable. And I say the word stable because stable is just a sense of like at this moment. I'm gonna say this right now. If you have an outlet to talk to a friend, talk to a friend. Even if the friend can't hear you every day, leave a message and say, hey, can I leave a message? And just whatever, right? Go, if you want to talk to a psychiatrist, this is a nice little life hack. Go on Facebook, go to a podcast group that are looking for guests, and 4 out of 10 times you'll find psychologists trying to do podcasts and trying to find people, and they will give you free psychological readings
That's a good
for free.
point.
Check that out. That's how I found my my former guest on a psychological show I used to do back in a couple years ago. So I found her, Harvard graduate and everything. We did about 20 episodes. It was really cool. I lost it all because my first channel got erased. If you cannot find a psychiatrist, if you cannot find a state-appointed psychiatrist, if you cannot or do not have a friend, find a hotline that can talk about these things. Go online, but be respectful. Hey, I'm trying to find people to talk to. Do not go on Craigslist. Do not go to the grimiest of places. Put yourself out there, right? If you still feel this way, there is no shame in going to a hospital after saying, hey, I am mentally unwell. I need help. They will not turn you down.
Have you had to do that?
Once when I was in my 20s, where I was mentally unwell and I went for 2 days. I just needed time to like rest and just relax my head. And ever since then,
would you trade?
huh?
Would you trade?
Yeah.
A lot of people say, man, I wouldn't trade my experiences for nothing. It's made me who I am. Would you trade a better life with less traumatic experiences? Or do you feel like going through this has made you who you are, and like you're okay with who you are? Like you wouldn't trade, like some people, I wouldn't trade my scars for anything. But sometimes I feel like they're lying. Like some scars run deep, and like I wouldn't wish your life on anybody.
Okay.
So the fact that you've overcome and where you stand now is amazing, and I'm proud of you. But do you ever get the feeling like, man, I wish I had an easier life?
I sometimes, and I'll say this: there's 3 things that I regret to this day that I wish I could have seen in my life. It never happened, but what ifs? I wish my dad wouldn't have died from the 80s, so I can understand who he was as a person. Because all I've heard is stories about him, and they were never the same. I wish my mom didn't have the circumstances of my father dying, and then had to like shut her life down to work for the next 30 fucking years. Even now, she's working because she's bored. That's her life.
Wow.
And third, I sometimes try to go back to my first loves or my second loves or my 34th loves and think of what ifs, but that third thing is gone because I don't have regrets for any of my exes anymore. I don't. My psychologist actually did a episode on my first channel where we broke down all my 54 exes, and we broke down all of them.
You said 54.
Yeah, I've had 54 exes. 56 now, but 54.
Come on, man. What kind of games were you running, man? I don't mean to take us off track.
It wasn't games, bro. It was being in the 90s and just being in high school.
54.
Yeah, and then being a whore in my 20s. I was a whore. Dude, I was
No,
banging.
dude, you said exes, not just girls. You were sleeping with. You said exes,
Yeah,
man. I
I
want to
was.
make sure I hear that correctly.
No, exes in the sense of being with them for a week to 2 weeks. It's still dating. It's still exes. Like I'm not telling you. I'm like I haven't told you the number of me banging. That number's at 164.
Okay, good.
Like my
Thank you. I
girlfriend,
thought you were gonna keep that a secret, bro.
me and my girlfriend had to sit down because I'm like, look, this is my number. Like I've had an episode about this, so let's sit down. I have 164 bodies on me. I have been tested for everything. I am clean. It's amazing that I
Wow,
am.
good for you.
Oh, my look again. I grew up in the '90s. I was scared. Everything was a condom. Everything was a condom until my baby mama and I got drunk. I want to feel the realness, and then beep. Wah! 9 months later, that's what happened to me. But
You slipped up and got caught.
of course, but the fact that back to the thing at hand, find help. I found help in friends in wrestling. I found help in family. I found help in friends. I found help in the woman that I love. I found help making a channel. You can make a channel on Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, stream, TikTok. Talk about your feelings. Talk about mental health. Talk about that. If you do this right now on TikTok and make a video about mental health, there's guaranteed 5 or 6 people are going to come out and say, hey, I understand you. I get it. Let's talk about this. Because social media now is about trying to connect from a
Right.
distance, and you can be evil about it and be a troll, or you can be like me, that when I meet my YouTube followers and they want to talk to me about things, I actually talk to them. When someone comes to me on a Facebook group, hey, do you want to do this? Yeah, let's go. Let's actually do this. That's the way it's supposed to be. When I learned about social media and I learned how to talk about my feelings from my psychiatrist, that's why she pushed me more in my channel. Hey, this channel thing you're doing is an outlet, and it's working because you're not getting slack from anybody, but you're going on the tradition of honesty, moral, and ethics. If you go on that path and you're trying to be honest about that, it would work. And it does. I still sometimes become like a little Karen bitch when I get angry. I get it. But and sometimes I do get depressed, where I'm depressed for like 5 hours or a day. That happens. But I've learned that, and this had to my friend Joy about this. I've learned that okay, yeah, I'm depressed for a day, and I can go outside and try to run or try to get water or try to talk to somebody, like, or I could just. I know my body, I know my mind, I know myself, I know this will pass, and I know that for now, just let it happen. You're not gonna, and if you understand yourself, you are not going to be afraid of tendencies of the unaliveness. You're gonna be like, I'm okay. I understand with myself. I'm really fucking sad about the situation I'm having right now, but I know it's gonna fucking pass. I know that tomorrow, if I can wake up and see the sun, then I'm blessed. Then all I do is just nothing.
How long did it take for you to get to that spot though, mentally? Like after
35
dealing
years
with
old.
all that, like how long did it take for you to be like, you know what, I can overcome this or live with this and turn it into a positive?
35. At 35 years old. And shout out to Terrence Howard and Hustle and Flow. I had a phobia. That was also the thing that I didn't tell you. And to Hustle and Flow, Terrence Howard talks about that his daddy died at 35, and that was one of his fears, that he would die at 35 as well.
Mm-hmm.
My dad died at 35. So at 35 on my birthday, I was alone, scared out of my mind, thinking that I'm going to die at 35. And I didn't. I didn't even drink, smoke, nothing. I just stayed home and watched. I think I was watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch, for like the whole like marathon. And then the next day, I thought about what I just told you right now. Thought about that whole thing, and I said, "That's the way to go for life. Like, why am I scared of things? Why am I scared of life? Like, if I'm gonna die tomorrow, I die tomorrow. But if I can wake up the next day and see the sun, and it was the most beautiful sunrise I've ever seen in my life." Freezing at 6:30 in the morning where I live, but I was like, I need to see it. And every day I wake up, and if I get to see the sunrise every single morning, that it's always different. I am blessed. I am blessed to have that, and I will take that, and I take that starting positivity throughout the day. If it comes out good at the end of the day, yes. If it comes out bad at the end of the day, shit happens. But if I can wake up the next day, that's what matters.
Do it again. Joe, that's amazing, man. That's a powerful outlook on life after all you've gone through. So, um, to pivot off of
Yes.
that as we get ready to close. So, you want to run for mayor of your town in 8 years.
Yes. 2032.
Obviously, you want to bring change. There's a lot of violence in the area. Things not going well. You're talking about the U.S. robbing them blind and all this stuff. I don't know how much change you can make at the federal level, but at the local level, certainly you can make some change. So 8 years from now, you
Yeah.
want to run for mayor. Why? First of all, first question: why 8 years as opposed to like right now?
Yeah.
Like I'm sure these people need help right now. They need leadership right now.
Okay. One, I'm broke, and I will try to save enough money in 8 years to make enough money for a political campaign concerning of trucks and banners and all that stuff. I can be digital, but I need a lot of time and effort, and I have a kid, and I have a wonderful girlfriend in the starting points of my life. And I told myself that if I focus everything in work, I will get there faster, but I will be there alone. And what's the point of even trying to be something good if there's no one around you to understand that or be
Mm-hmm.
next to you? I mean, obviously, it's not about me, it's about my town. But I think the people around me would benefit more if they're with me side by side. One. Two, I want to see the politics of my town more thoroughly. See what every permit that they use, see what every accomplishment that they use, how they talk and when do they talk. I want to see and get used to it because once I go for mayor, they're gonna go against me. Oh, you're a guy this and this and this. Your brother was in jail because he did this and this and this, and you have a record of this and this and this in the Navy, which they're gonna talk about. I know they will because everyone brings up your past.
Your
So I told
worst,
myself,
your worst story comes up.
yeah. So I told myself I'm gonna be transparent and for the next 8 years, do my channel, talk about the news, talk about the mayors if they mess up, and only if they mess up. If they accomplish something, hurrah! I will give you a picture of it. But if they mess up, full comprehensive video. Um, then when I become mayor, I will tell the people if you want a reference of my life, go check out my channel. There's literally 8 years and 9 years of everything that I've done, and in that time you can check the timestamps and everything else. So I want to do that.
Check out this episode too.
Yeah, please do. Like, subscribe, share all those audio platforms. What I want also for my town is that my mayor is letting companies come in and make giant condominiums by the beaches, which will mess up land, which will mess up the beaches, which will mess up the sea. I will do when I become mayor. I'll come to the aspect of taking these up. There's a lot of buildings where I live that are abandoned. They were made pretty when they were made, but then they were abandoned. We have a center of art and culture, and that's been abandoned for 10 years. They use that for public works parking. That's it.
Wow.
That's all they use it for. It's a giant place with a stadium, not a stadium, sorry. Like those opera like places, theaters, like inside, like all nice and stuff.
Yeah.
Like we had those. Because everyone took the fucking chairs and sold them for recycling. But we have abandoned buildings, we have abandoned schools, we have abandoned parks that are not being used. Let's recycle them. Let's use them for something else. Let's take the abandoned buildings and make them into housings for people that need rentings, single mothers or people that need it. Let's take these abandoned schools and make them into hostels. And then the money that's made from the hostels go back into the town, helps old people and helps people that need to pay bills. We can go and talk to people around the world and say, hey, do you want to like showcase your art? Do you have a trolley? If you bring your trolley and showcase your art, boom, you can knock it the fuck out. Let's go. Like that. There's plenty of artisans. There's plenty of workers. There's plenty of people that are doing so much in my town. But my town is a transitional town. Like you're born there, but you rarely work there. You go someplace else. You learn someplace else. You live someplace else. I don't want my son to be like that. I don't want my son to be like at 18, 20, all right, I'm out of here. I'm going to Carolina or San Juan, where the rent there is like $2,000, well, not 2,000, like between $1,000 and $1,500 a fucking month. And like that doesn't even include light of water and cable. Where on the east side, you can get a house, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, light and water included for $600 a month. A month by the trees or by the sea. Come on. That's on the east side, but you got to have this. my mom, and I get inspiration from my mom. My mom never had to go to anywhere else out of her town to work. She found the job at my town. She worked as a janitor, special assistant to teacher to special ed kids, a teacher to special ed to now a treasurer, all
Wow.
in the same damn town. Why? Because she
Wow.
knew that I ain't driving 7 miles to the next town. I can work here. I can make something here, but I gotta try. And I want the kids now. Excuse me. I want the kids now to be like, "Hey, I want to learn computers." Okay, there's a boys and girls club here in my town.
Right
Learn
there.
computers. Hey, I want to learn how to knit and sew and dance. Boom, dance and art studio right there. Knock yourself out. Go. I want to learn how to cut grass or cut hair or art or paint. Boom, go over here. Let's do this. Oh, my kid. I don't want my kid at the school hanging out with gangbangers. Boom, there's a place that you can learn, chill, play, and do stuff. And then they go back home at 7 o'clock when the sun goes down. That's it. That's what I want to do for my mayor, as a mayor. But none of the mayors now are doing anything. They're just making more things and just putting their names on everything. I'm proud of it.
That's everywhere, man.
Yeah.
That's what makes it tough as a citizen. It's like you see stuff around you that needs to be done, and for the most part,
Yeah.
nobody's gonna do it because they're paid off, they're bought out, right?
And
So
that's not me. I'm not gonna do that. There's out of 78 towns here, there's only 4 that I've seen that the mayors think about the town. One town that put 60% of all their roofs have solar panels. All of them. They're like, we ain't gonna
wow,
wait for electricity. We're gonna do it our own damn selves.
wow,
Bayamon, they got flooded and they lost light. And then like, oh, Luma's like, we're gonna get there for a week. The mayor's like, fuck you, we're gonna do this ourselves. And he hired electricians and did it himself. They didn't even wait for the light company. And he got cited, like a citation from Luma because of that. Not supposed to touch our equipment. Well, you're supposed to do your damn job. I'm not waiting a week. Sorry. I got people that are old that need electricity, that need these things.
right.
So there's mayors that step up, and I want to be those type of mayors of like, I don't need the government, I don't need anything else. If we self-sustain ourselves and take care of ourselves, then we're fine. Luquillo has a shitload place of land. All I need is 2 acres, and thanks to my beautiful girlfriend, we can make a sustainable garden so we can give vegetables back to the town, and they give back. We have horses out the ass in our town that crap everywhere. Hey, horse riders, can you at the end of the road just pass by here and crap over here, please? Just dump it right there. Thanks. We'll take that fertilizer and put it for the vegetables. That's it. Hey, you need coconuts? Hey, crackhead, I'll give you $25. We need 1,000 coconuts by tonight. And damn sure you're gonna get 1,000 coconuts.
He's probably gonna get you more than that.
For $25. That's all you need. Like, there's opportunities here in town that people can love to do, but the mayor only thinks about himself, and that's why I want to be, or at least try. I want to try to be the mayor. My backup plan B, is that if I don't win the mayorship, I will be the public works director, which is the guy that manages all the cutting of the grass, the construction of things in town, like
Right.
the hands of
Maintain the appearance.
exactly. So I told
Yeah.
my friend, I told my girlfriend, like, if I can't be the mayor, I'll be the public works director. I'll get that easy. Whatever. My dad was one, so I gotta say, hey, I'm my. You're this guy. Here, you got it. That's nepotism. I know it's wrong, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm just saying it out now, and I'll take it. Okay. That's just me.
Nah, I appreciate your heart. I hear the passion, and for someone who's gone through all that to want to do all that for other people, and not be selfish about, hey, I've gone through all that. Oh well, you got to go through it too, or I need to fix myself and take care of my family.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that, man. But like I told you before, and I'll tell you again, this is a crazy story. A lot of folks ain't gonna believe it. They'll probably go Googling your stories and
Google it, man.
looking you up. But I think it's amazing that you can overcome all of that and you're still here. A lot of people would have off themselves. But the fact that you're still here is a testimony to your fighting spirit. And for my listeners, my audience out there, Your story may not be as wild. It may not sound as wild, but it's just as wild to you.
Oh,
And I want you to know that there
Yeah.
is help out there. And like Alex said, man, good day, bad day, go to sleep. You wake up tomorrow, the sun is gonna rise again, and the sun's gonna shine again. So I appreciate you, bro.
of course.
Um, anytime you need somebody to talk to, let's do it again.
Of course.
Yeah, I think we could end it there. So I appreciate everybody hanging out. Feel free to watch and rewatch and share. Check out Alex's page. What's the page again?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can
The
find me on
pages.
Rican Reactions on YouTube, RICAN space REACTIONS, on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, or X. Alice Coquito and everywhere else. If you want to find uncut, uncensored things that's gonna happen, for example, give you a nice little example here. If you Google, everyone in the audience, Google Salil Zaveri, SILIL space ZAVERI. Now, when you Google him, your eyes are gonna widen up. Now, if you look for me on patreon.com/Alex Coquito, ALEXCOQUITO, you'll find out why. That's what I gotta say about that. And shout out to my girlfriend, shout out to my mom, shout out to my dad, rest in peace. Shout out to my brothers, shout out to PUWF, shout out to NXT Time with D-Walk. Shout out to all my ex-girlfriends, my side chicks, my booty call girls, everyone that knows me, the swingers, the key parties. You know who you are. When I become mayor, I am not going to turn my state into Sodom and Gomorrah, but I will make it a party town. Stay healthy. Stay happy. As he laughs, I smile. Good night.
You're tripping, man. No, I appreciate you, man. Thanks everybody for listening in. I'm gonna catch you guys next time on another episode of Sports and the Real Shit. Mike with Alex. Y'all be good. Peace.
I'm going straight to the top. Just put the stack on the clock. I am Ray Allen's a shot. I'm going straight to the top.